Welcome to another episode of Software Explorations, Concept and Overviews, hosted by yours truly, Tech Coach Ralph, where we are Engineer Twin. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about DevOps engineers. So, not particularly about what DevOps is in general, but specifically about the role of DevOps engineers. That's what we're going to be looking into to see what do they do, how relevant it still is, all those fine details. But before we go any further, do me a big favor. If you haven't done so already, if you are new to the channel or you've been watching for a while, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, and also like the video, share the video, of course. Hit the notification bell so you know every time that we go live and drop new content, which we drop a lot of content on this channel, trying to help you level up. And if you want access to see the sprint reviews that we do in the coaching group, go over to techcoachralph.dev, free access to the sprint reviews. You can also sign up for one-on-one coaching with me, and I can help you level up so we can win together. So yeah, let's get into this DevOps engineering role, right? So we're going to be talking about DevOps engineer. Let's jump into it right now. So today's presentation, DevOps engineer, is this the right career path for you? Yes, for you. Is it the right career path for you? So let's find out. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. So our agenda for today, we're going to have a recap of DevOps. We went over a full presentation last week on DevOps. I will link to it in the corner right here so that you can go back and watch it if you haven't watched it already. We're going to get into the role of a DevOps engineer, the required skill sets, the evolution of DevOps over the years, the salary and job market for DevOps engineers, and some of my thoughts about the demand of DevOps role, some challenges that you might face as a DevOps engineer. And then we're going to wrap it up with the conclusion where we're going to, you can send some questions, give some feedback, all of that good stuff. All right. So let's jump into it. All right. So a quick recap from what we spoke about last week. DevOps is short for development and operations, and it's a software development practice that combines these two disciplines into a continuous process. So it's like a cycle that keeps going and going and going, right? If you kind of like, when you think about Agile and Scrum, how it just keeps going, this kind of said the same way for DevOps, but in a development aspect, right? It's a cultural shift that involves people, processes, and technology working together to deliver value to customers. The goal of DevOps is to increase the speed and quality of software deployment and to help organizations respond to customer needs and achieve business goals faster. So it's all, if you guys remember Talladega Nights, right? Ricky Bobby, I want to go fast. I want to go fast. And that's what we're trying to do here. That is exactly what we are trying to do here, right? So the role of DevOps engineers. DevOps engineers play a critical role in bridging the gap between software development and IT operations. They are responsible for implementing processes, tools, and methodologies that balance needs throughout the software development lifecycle, from coding and deployment to maintenance and updates, and finding a way to make it quick and efficient instead of being burdened by like slow processes and having to deploy in a manual process. So what are the role of the DevOps engineers? So they're responsible for the CI/CD pipeline. We had a presentation about that a few weeks ago. CI/CD is continuous integration, continuous deployment. They are also responsible for infrastructure as code, which we just finished going over Terraform on our Sunday live streams, which we are actually now working on DevOps on our Sunday live streams. So you definitely want to tune into that. So infrastructure as code, Terraform, how you Ansible, things like that, how you can pretty much write code and it's going to pretty much build your whole infrastructure out for you. Automation is very important when it comes to unit test, QA tests for like API tests, UI tests, functional tests, collaboration, working together with teams, monitoring and logging to see like, are the systems working? If there's any errors, let's log those. Security, troubleshooting and support when things go bump in the night. Scalability and performance. How do we keep our application running quickly and it can expand and decrease, as quickly based on the need. Cloud service management, so using platforms like Amazon Web Services, Azure, Google Cloud Platform, and then culture building, having the whole organization have a mindset of DevOps so we can be the most efficient out there, so we can be very lean and very mean. So, what are some of the required skill sets for DevOps engineers? So, we're going to break each one of these down, but there's going to be some technical skills, of course, like, come on, DevOps, development, and operations. Definitely some technical skills. Soft skills, because that comes to the operations part. Soft skills, how to communicate with other people, how to deal with people, and then the experience and the certifications that you might need for a DevOps engineering role. So let's get into the technical skills. So you're going to need Linux administration, which would include command line, shell scripting, system management. These different things are like, very typical. And you're going to see this about DevOps, right? It's going to combine so many different abilities into this one position, which can seem a bit overwhelming, but that's why you can't just jump into DevOps, I just wake up tomorrow, I want to be a DevOps engineer. And then 2 weeks later, okay, I'm a DevOps engineer. It doesn't work that way, right? So you're going to need to have version control, Git, Subversion, Mercurial, which is how you're going to be building these applications in the CI/CD pipeline. Some CI/CD tools, right? Continuous integration, continuous deployment. We always say that over and over and over so it can be drilled into your head, right? So Jenkins, we've been working on Jenkins on some live streams, and we had a video about Jenkins, GitLab, Travis CI, Circle CI, TeamCity, different tools that we will be exploring at some point. Infrastructure as code, Terraform, which we've seen us use Terraform in the course that we're taking for DevOps. Upcoming is going to be Ansible at some point. CloudFormation, we haven't tried that yet, but that's definitely going to be something on our list to get into. Containerization, there's Docker, there's Kubernetes, right? Let's see some more. So some more technical skills. Cloud computing, AWS, Amazon Web Services, Azure, Google Cloud Platform, and then within those, like, and each of these platforms have their own, but I'm just going to list the ones from AWS. We have EC2 instances. We have S3 for storage. We have RDS for databases. And then, so let's get into the scripting and programming. So what kind of languages might you need to know as a DevOps engineer? You might need to know Python. Most likely you're going to need to know some type of bash scripting, PowerShell if you're in Windows, Java might be there, Go might be there. It just depends. Like the scripting and the programming that you're going to need to do is going to be on a, like, as you need it, you're going to have to figure it out, right? So you have to be very flexible. You have to be very flexible in your coding skills. Monitoring and logging. So so there's Prometheus, there's Grafana, there's Nagios, there's Splunk, there's Elk. We've actually, like last year sometime, when we were going over some cybersecurity things, we actually tried out Grafana, and we got that installed. We got that tested to see how it works. So very, very important to know this. Security, secure CI/CD pipelines, how to properly manage your secrets, and how to adhere to compliance and policy standards. So all of these things make up for having the correct acumen for your technical skills as a DevOps engineer. But wait, there's more. How about the soft skills? How you like that? So collaboration and communication, very, very important. How to work with cross-functional teams. You're going to be working with people who are very technical. You're going to be working with people who are not very technical. So you need to be able to communicate between those two teams so that you can, with those two groups of people, so that they can all be on the same page and they can all have that DevOps mindset. You're going to need some problem solving skills, how to troubleshoot complex problems, because as an engineer, any type of engineer you are, your job is to figure out problems, to solve problems. But with DevOps, you're going to have to figure out what's going on in the CI/CD pipeline, what's going on in the security, what's going on with the automation, so many different things, and how to get all the teams to contribute to the DevOps process collectively so that we can have a well-oiled machine. Now that we have adaptability, willingness to learn new tools and technologies as time passes. There's always a new tool, a new technology coming out, right? Just the other day on a live stream, we set up my AI clone, very, very fun, and we interact with that. So new technology is always coming out, not being stuck in the old ways and not be willing to explore, how can we leverage this tool? How can we leverage AI? How can we, whatever the tool that might be, being open to trying it out, seeing if it's going to work, if it's going to add benefits, and the same way, like with the scripting languages, it mentioned Python, it mentioned Java, but what if Ruby or Rust or C# might be the best tool for this particular job? Should we adapt and go to that? So being adaptable. Time management, managing multiple tasks, because you saw the list of responsibilities, so many different things, and then the soft skills, having to talk to other teams and being able to properly communicate the ideas that you have to make this work better. Then continuous learning, always being committed to the latest tools, trends, and practices, staying up to date, very, very important, because If you're not getting up to date, you're going to miss out, and now you're going to get left behind. So what about the experiences and the certificates, right? So Agile is very, very important. I preach Agile all the time. So familiarity with Agile and Scrum methodologies as DevOps often aligns closely with these approaches. It's a continuous loop. It's a continuous cycle. What about some certifications, right? So you might want to be AWS certified DevOps engineer, Azure DevOps engineer expert, or Docker certified associate can validate expertise and increase job prospects. But you guys know what I always say about certificates, right? They're great to have. However, it is even more important that you actually know how to use these tools, how to do the job, all right? So you definitely want to look into that. So let's talk a little bit about the evolution of DevOps, right? So the pre-DevOps era started in the pre-2000s, pre-2000s. And then in the early 2000s, Agile and Lean movement started, which led to the late 2000s, where the emergence of DevOps in like 2010 and up, we had adoption and growth of DevOps. And then late 2010 to the present day, maturity and expansion. And I'll tell you this, I started learning about DevOps in around 2015, 2016. I'm like, it might be interesting to be a DevOps engineer. And like, I was starting to work with Docker and Rancher. And this is the time, like there was not really much documentation or courses on Docker, but I started learning about it, and I started to like gain a lot of interest in like the whole infrastructure, because I was used to like connecting to virtual machines and connecting to remote boxes and stuff like that. But the whole Docker thing was a whole new foreign concept to me. And I had quite an interest in it. And like before there was a lot of documentation, a lot of hoopla about it. There was like the developers, and there was the team that would do the deployments, which we're going to get into. But yeah, it started gaining a lot of interest for me. So let's talk about the pre-DevOps era, right? So the pre-2000s. So we had traditional IT operations. Before DevOps, software development and IT operations were typically siloed. Developers focused on writing code, while operations teams were responsible for deploying and maintaining software in production environment. And I'll tell you this, in 2016, like when I started working at a new company, they were working exactly like this. So while they would practice Agile in the software development team, they were still practicing the pre-DevOps in the operations team that were deploying and things like that, right? So also we had the waterfall methodology. Most organizations use the waterfall development model, where software was developed in sequential phases: requirements gathering, design, implementation, testing, and maintenance. And that's what I always say. TLC, don't go chasing waterfalls. It's terrible. It is not going to get you to, now, in very rare cases, it might be useful, but for the most part, Agile is the way to go if you want to get to market faster, especially if you're in the private sector. Agile is the way to go if you want to add more value into the marketplace as early as possible, right? So let's get into the Agile and Lean movements, the early 2000s. The Agile Manifesto was written in 2001. The Agile movement emerged as a response to the limitations of the waterfall model, of course. The Agile Manifesto emphasized iterative development, customer collaboration, and responsiveness to change. Lean principles. So the Lean principles, originally developed in manufacturing, began to influence software development. These principles focused on eliminating waste, thank God for that, improving flow, and optimizing the whole system. Lean thinking laid the groundwork for many DevOps practices, such as continuous improvement and automation. Now, the emergence of DevOps. Here comes DevOps. Awesome. In the late 2000s, the DevOps term coined was in 2009. The term DevOps was first popularized by Patrick Du Bois, who organized the first DevOps Day conference in 2009. The conference brought together developers and operations professionals to discuss the challenges of collaboration and efficiency in software delivery. Continuous integration and continuous deployment. Around this time, the concept of CI/CD began to gain traction. Tools like Jenkins, Travis CI, and Circle CI emerged, enabling automated testing and deployment of code changes. CI/CD became a core practice of DevOps, allowing for faster and more reliable software releases. So, adoption and growth. Widespread adoption. As more organizations recognize the benefits of DevOps, its adoption grew rapidly. Companies like Netflix, Amazon, and Google became pioneers of DevOps practices. So I mean, like the big three, all right? Infrastructure as code. So the rise of cloud computing and virtualization led to the development of infrastructure as code, tools like Terraform, Ansible, and CloudFormation. DevOps, DevSecOps. As security concerns grew, the concept of DevSecOps emerged, integrating security practices into the DevOps pipeline. And that's what makes DevOps so good, because it can take a bunch of different concepts, bring them together, and now we are able to have development, security, and operations all in the same pipeline, making sure that things are working smoothly, efficiently, but even more importantly, safely. So maturity and expansion from the late 2000s to the present day, cloud native and microservices, which on Sundays we are going to be getting into, and I'll probably do a presentation on microservices as well, because they are very, very important. The shift toward cloud native architectures and microservices further accelerated the adoption of DevOps. Automation and tooling. The DevOps toolchain expanded significantly with a wide range of tools available for automation, monitoring, logging, security, and collaboration. Cultural shift. DevOps evolved beyond just a set of tools and practices to encompass a cultural shift within organizations. The focus on collaboration, transparency, and shared responsibility became central to DevOps' success. Of course, yes, definitely. So, what are some future trends for DevOps? So we have AI and machine learning in DevOps. The integration of AI and machine learning into DevOps practices is emerging, with AI-driven tools for predictive analysis, automated decision-making, and anomaly detection. So I can't wait to get my hands on that part. So, and what about GitOps? Yes, GitOps. It's a practice that uses Git as the single source of truth for declarative infrastructure and application management. It's gaining popularity. This approach streamlines deployment and makes infrastructure management more transparent and version controlled. So that's going to be absolutely amazing. I need to start looking into that. And also serverless and edge computing. As a serverless and edge computing gains traction, DevOps practices are evolving to accommodate these new paradigms. This includes new ways to manage, monitor, and deploy applications in distributed environments. So let's talk quickly about the salary of DevOps engineers. So at an entry-level DevOps engineers, they typically earn between 70 to 90K per year, depending on where they live and the size of the company and the industry as well. Because yeah, you can see like a financial company, like a fintech or a biotech or a farm tech type of company. They might be paying a lot more than the 70 to 90K because of their industry. They're highly regulated. It's harder to find people, and you hate to have attrition in those places. Mid-level DevOps engineers with a few years of experience, salaries can range from 90K to 120K annually. So how would you like to make between 90K to 120K annually? So next up, we got senior DevOps engineers. Experienced professionals can expect salaries between 120K to 160K, getting to the bag or more, particularly in high demand areas or industries. So you got to think, right? If you're in New York, if you're in California, imagine how much you're gonna be making, right? Or imagine if you're awesome, you can work for one of those companies remotely, still making the bag, but you're living in an area that is not so expensive, you know? And then we have the top tier, the creme de la creme of the DevOps engineers. Those who with specialized skills or in leadership roles, they may earn upwards of 160K to 200K or more. My heart just stopped. My heart just stopped. Oh my God. So 160K to 200K for the creme de la creme, homie. All right. So what about the job market? How does the job market look? So this says high demand. DevOps skills are in high demand as more companies adopt cloud technologies and seek to streamline their software development and deployment processes. Industry adoption. Industries such as finance, healthcare, technology, and e-commerce are particularly keen on hiring DevOps engineers to improve their CI/CD pipelines and enhance their operational efficiency. Also, job opportunities. There are a wide range of opportunities from startups to large enterprises, with remote and hybrid work options becoming increasingly common. I remember one time I forgot a few years, like, hey, we have this job for you as a DevOps engineer. And you only have to travel like once a week down to the office. It's when I was living, it was in Miami. I was living in Brighton. Like, I was pretty much good where I was, and I didn't feel like driving. So skill requirements. Employers are looking for professionals with a strong understanding of cloud platforms, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud Platform, automation tools, Jenkins, Ansible, Terraform, containerization, Docker and Kubernetes, and scripting languages like Python and Bash. So it's a strict skill requirement and probably a lot more than that, you know, but it can be quite lucrative as we saw from the salary expectations. So this is my take on the demand for DevOps, right? It is like I did a search on LinkedIn and it is still very, very popular. At the same time though, there like a lot of companies, they are integrating the DevOps processes within the team. So like you have the software developers doing some DevOps practices. You have the QA engineers doing some DevOps practices. Like so many different people are participating in the DevOps, but at the same time, there'll still be a team that's setting up all the infrastructure for giving the ability for these different people and these different teams to be able to work in a DevOps way. But there's still going to be people who are like setting up, the CI/CD pipelines, who are setting up the microservices templates, things of that nature. So you got to remember, every single person for an organization plays a role in the DevOps process. All right. So, and I say the more skills you gain in DevOps, the more powerful that you're going to be, and you can land maybe one of those 200K plus jobs, which is what I want for you. Yes, I want that for you. I want that for you. Okay. So what are some challenges for DevOps as well? So we have the cultural and organizational resistance. Every time you introduce something new, people love to continue to do things the way that they've always been doing it, but there's a better way out there. There's a better way, but it is your job to convince them of that better way so they can see the light. Now, there can be some complex tool chains and integrations. You saw like the whole list of tools that you're going to have some knowledge of, but integrating different applications and making sure that the network connectivity is working properly. And then you got to deal with the security and the compliance with regulations, depending on the industry that you're in, dealing with like EU regulations or whatever other country you're dealing with. Let's say you're offering services in China as well, dealing with that. So many different things, right? You got to manage the infrastructure complexity. So knowing about the networking, knowing about like linking different like databases and so many different things, right? Automation challenges. How do you make sure that your tests are running properly? How do you make sure that your Terraform is working properly? So many different things. And then monitoring and observability, right? So monitoring and observability, however that's said, making sure that things are being monitored properly, making sure that if there's any problems, anything goes bump in the night, you're able to catch it, you're able to wake the right people up to get that fixed, So very, very important having that monitoring system in place. Also, scalability and performance, making sure that your system can scale up properly when needed. And if it's not scaling, you get alerts, making sure the performance that you're meeting your SLAs and your SLOs. Very, very important. Setting up your continuous delivery and continuous deployment pipelines to make sure that things aren't falling through the cracks, making sure that your repos are set up properly to have the right branch protection rules. You're gonna have the skill gaps and continuous learning. So you're not gonna know everything, but you have to be willing to learn the things that you don't know. Managing tech debt, this is a big problem for so many development teams, but you're gonna have a backlog. You have to make sure that you're keeping this on rotation. You're keeping it low so that it doesn't balloon out of control. And then lastly, of course, communication and collaboration, probably the hardest thing on this list, the biggest challenge, but we have to make it that work. There is no option for communication and collaboration. All right. So that's it. That is it. Let me know what you think. Let's go through this one more time. In conclusion, we did a DevOps recap. We went through the roles of a DevOps engineer. We looked at the required skill sets for a DevOps engineer, the evolution of DevOps throughout the years from, pre-2000 to up to today and the future. In the future, how does the future look? We went over the salary and the job market for DevOps, and I spoke about like the demand that I see for DevOps, and then we went over some challenges that you're going to face as a DevOps engineer. And lastly, if you have any questions, any feedback, please let me know. Drop it in the comments. Let's interact. Let me know. What do you think? What do you think about the salary? What do you think about the role of DevOps? Do you see that as something for you? Or maybe it's something else. Maybe it's something else in tech. I don't know. Maybe you want to be a Scrum Master. Maybe you want to be a product owner. Maybe you want to be a software developer. Maybe you want to be a QA engineer. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you want to be UI UX. Whatever. What do you think? Do you like DevOps? Do you see that as something for you? Let me know. I am curious to know your thoughts on the whole matter. But with that being said, we're going to go back to full screen. So let me know your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really, really appreciate you giving me the time of day to share this knowledge with you. It's a lot, but it is well worth it. All right. With that being said, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you haven't done so already, if you got this far in the video, do me a big favor. Subscribe to the channel. like the video, share the video, all of that good stuff. Hit the notification bell so you know every time that we go live, drop new content. And of course, go over to techcoachralph.dev, get access to our sprint review. I'm going to be dropping another one either Sunday or Monday for you to consume, see how we do things, see what we're working on. And if you join a higher tier, you get full access to the whole Scrum Night to see how we run our coaching group and how the work that we do. And if you want to work with me one-on-one, you can sign up for a coaching plan and we can have a conversation and we will win together. We will win together. All right. But with that being said, I'm going to get out of here. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your Wednesday. It's the middle of the week. It is the middle of the week. We are almost to the weekend. But guess what? Guess what? As the hoodie says, there are no days off, which you can get one yourself. You can get one yourself. If you believe in no days off, get you a hoodie, get you a t-shirt, whatever the case may be. No days off. Let's run it up because we don't miss. All right. With that being said, I'm going to get out of here. You guys have, like I said, have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. This is Tech Coach Ralph. We are out.